Yo, what's good? It's your boy Swifty. In this tutorial, I'm about to show you how to make ambient loops for Drake. First off, I started with the pad called Brown in Analog Lab 4. Also, I made this loop in the key of E major. You can go to the helpers, scale, and then select major and E. So first off, I just built some chords. To build the chords, I just started with the root note, which is E. And then instead of doing the simple trad, which would be G sharp and then the B, I just put the G sharp up an octave, so it's right here, and then I put the A, which is between the G sharp and the B, and then I just added the root note again up an octave and this note to fill in the gaps. Then I just added these transition notes to go into the next chord. So then to build the next chords, I just came up with a melody in my head and tried to replicate it with the bass notes. And then to make the chords, I don't know any music theory, so I just went by ear and tried to make them sound how I wanted them to. Dude, that pad really just gave me that vibe, that Drake vibe. Then I went on and added a piano. It's the felt grand piano from this contact library. So first, as you can see, I made a pattern for the intro, and then there's one right here that's gonna play throughout the whole loop. But first, let's look at the one in the intro. So as you can see, I just copied basically the chords from the pad and then switched it up a little bit. So I used the same notes that are in the chord and just cut them with the tool right here. It's the slice tool. Then on the second part, I just copied the first chord and then I used the second one, this one, and I didn't use that one because I wanted to do a ascending melody. That's what it sounds like. As you can see, I play a lot with the velocities. It's really important if you want a human feeling to your instruments, especially your piano. Also, you can strum the chords. To do that, you just select the notes and then press Alt S, and then this little window pops up and you got the time right here, which is basically how much you're gonna strum the notes. When you just strum the notes with the tool, it's gonna go from down to bottom. It's gonna go from bottom to up, but to make it even more realistic, I just went in there and messed with a few notes. So next, I just went and added this reverse piano. So I just exported the loop, the intro, and reversed it and chopped it up. So that's how the reverse piano sounds like. Alright, so next we go into the actual loop. So we got the first pad that I showed you, the reverse piano, the piano, which is basically the exact same as the first one. I just added bass notes and top notes, took out the ascending run, duplicated the chords that I used in the first part. This is what this pattern sounds like. As you can see, the top notes really just add more feeling to the melody, and the bass notes, you can't really hear them. They're just here to make the piano thicker. So then I went on and added this bass, which is a one shot from a drum kit. That's what the bass sounds like. And I just went on and made this pattern following the root notes of the chords. Then next, I added the second pad. It's a pad from Omnisphere called Wide Horizon. It sounds like this. then I went on and added these tremolo strings from this contact library. They sound like this. Next, I found this acapella from a vocal pack. I chopped up the part that I wanted to use. So here, that's a part that I used just for the intro, and then this second part right here repeats for the hook during the whole loop. The acapella sounds like this. And finally, I just added some texture for the intro, which just sounds like this. It's basically a ambience crowd. I just turned the volume down, and then during the whole loop, I chopped this little drum loop, and it sounds like this. Alright, so now for the effects. On the first pad, I just put reverb. Preset is dark string chamber, and I turned down the mix and the decay a little bit. I put some RC20 on there, wobble, space, and magnetic. Then lastly, the EQ, I cut all of the highs until 600 Hz and the lows, and take out some of the harsh frequencies. Then for the piano, just put some reverb on it. I also put some delay on it. Then I put the default preset, and I just turned down this knob. Zero control as usual. This time just pin it to the left a little bit. And lastly, an EQ, so I cut a little bit of the highs, some harsh frequencies, the lows. For the reverse piano, a lot of reverb, then isotope vinyl. I just turn up the warp a little bit, put the year to 1960, and turn a little bit of the mechanical noise. For the bass, I just cut out the highs and the mids. For the second pad, I put a lot of reverb. I made it super wide. Then lastly, I put like a radio type EQ on it, so cut the lows and the highs. For the strings, I put some reverb. Put the same RC20. This time I just turn up the distortion a little bit. Zero control as well, and the same type of EQ. Now for the vocals, I always put some reverb on it. And for this one, since it's an acapella, I wanted it to be in the back like a lot, so I turned down a lot of the highs and the lows. And for the background noise, I just make sure there is no low end and not too much high end. Lastly, for the drum loop, I just put some reverb. The drum plate preset, I put Pancake on it. It's a free plugin, by the way. I just turned down the mix a little bit. It just makes the drum loop go from the left ear to the right ear. Lastly, as usual, zero control and then EQ. This is what the final loop sounds like. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that tutorial. Hope y'all learned some. If so, don't forget to drop a like, a comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.